Hello, and welcome to Ranking in Public, a podcast by Growth Skills where we show you tips and tricks from SEO and will help you get your website to rank higher. I'm Tina Mangelova, the head of SEO and content at Growth Skills. And in today's episode, I'm joined by Cassy Horton of the Pickles Group. They're a nonprofit organization that provides peer-to-peer support for kids whose parents have cancer. What we'll do today is we'll walk you through the technical section of an SEO audit that we did for the Pickles Group website and recommendations on what they need to do technically to increase their visibility in Google search, in organic search, and to basically make their amazing resources more easily accessible to people who don't know about their mission. Cassy, do you want to briefly introduce yourself and the Pickles Group?
Sure. Yeah, that was a great introduction. Really excited to be here and grateful for the support. So, as Tina said, I'm Cassy Horton. I'm the executive director of the Pickles Group, and we are a nonprofit. We're one of the few nonprofits across the country that's really focused on this unique population of kids whose parents have been diagnosed with cancer. And unfortunately, that's actually a growing population in the country. We're seeing more and more folks under the age of 50 who are being diagnosed with colon cancer, breast cancer, due to a lot of different factors, environment, diet, lots of things changing in our society. So we're really here to be a resource for kids and parents through this experience that we wish none of them had to go through, but to especially make sure that kids have the things that are really helpful, healthy, and supportive for them, which include resources to help families talk about this experience at home, developing some coping skills, and as you said, Tina, peer-to-peer support for those kids. So really connecting them with other kids who get this experience and can support them along the way. So as you shared, we're young, we're a startup nonprofit. We're making a huge impact in a short amount of time. But one of our biggest challenges is very much helping families find us at a time when it's really hard. They're going through so many other things, and Googling, maybe being up in the middle of the night worrying about their kids, that's a reality. So we want to make sure that our resources are as easy to find, and we know that optimizing for better SEO is one way to do that, and we're just really excited to be able to learn from y'all along the way.
Awesome. Thank you for that great introduction, Cassy. I'll go ahead and share my screen. As Cassy said, the target audience for the Pickles Group is quite niche and very specific. And to give you some background overview of where there are from a keyword ranking perspective here, you can see a screenshot from SEMrush with a keyword ranking summary over time. As of April of 2023, they were ranking for a total of 89 keywords. Only 2 of those on page 1. And looking back in time, their keyword ranking seem to have dropped since November of last year. So overall, the goal of our partnership is to work in multiple areas of SEO to improve and increase that visibility. Traditionally, our SEO audit consists of 4 main sections: code, which is the technical section, content, connections or offsite SEO, and conversions. Conversions because not only do we want to drive more organic users to a website, we want to ensure that the website is best equipped for those visitors to convert, or in Pickles Group's scenario, probably donate or sign up for a newsletter with more information, and so on. So our SEO audit consists of these four main areas: code, content, connections, and conversions. And in the next couple of minutes, we're going to take a deeper dive into the code section. So we'll talk more technical SEO.
Awesome.
This is what we call a scorecard. Each section, we review different areas to ensure we catch different bugs, so to say. We keep track of everything. We rank it from 0 to 1, color coded, keep uh, everything at hand to track progress over time. The initial rating, and then a rating a couple months down the line when our recommendations have been implemented. Awesome. So let's jump in the code
Sounds
section.
good.
First thing is first, when the first thing that caught our attention when we looked at the Pickles Group website was the CMS. Cassy, right now you are using Squarespace.
Yeah.
And the first recommendation, which is a rather chunky one,
Mhm.
would be platforming you to WordPress. For websites a similar size to yours, we tend to recommend WordPress as the you know as our go-to CMS for users who want to ensure most optimal organic visibility. On the one hand, on the other hand, we want to avoid very cumbersome, technical bottlenecks. We don't want you to depend on a developer to do
Yeah.
quick updates to the website. So in that sense, WordPress is super user friendly. And on this slide, you can see our tech stack recommendations that is tried and tested um, over the course of years for us. And it's also quite budget friendly, especially for nonprofits
Yeah.
such like yourselves. Every dime counts. So a lot, this is more of a long-term recommendation, but we think over the next couple of months we'll work with you and the team to set up the website for replatforming, and to implement to find the best WordPress theme, pre-built theme, that would fit your needs, and then assist in that migration.
Got it. And what about WordPress is going to make it better than the platform that we're using right now? And what kind of changes would we expect to see after we migrate over, just based on the platform itself?
Yeah, in the next couple of slides, within the technical slides, you'll see some of the current issues that we have. It's not easy to resolve those in Squarespace. One good example is the sitemap. Currently, the sitemap in Squarespace is auto-generated by the platform, which sounds great, but is clunky. And over the course of us putting this audit together, we would be visiting the sitemap on multiple occasions to check certain things. Different team members would go in, and at sometimes it would look fine, other times it would be broken. So there seemed to be some sort of an issue
Okay.
with the way, at least for your website, the way Squarespace is you know generating the sitemap. Sometimes it's not available, other times it's distorted. So that is something in Squarespace that we we can't fix, we can't touch. So it
Yep.
is just the way it is. Whereas in WordPress, there are multiple different ways we can add plugins, we can control the sitemap better. Also in WordPress, there are more opportunities for, again, plugins that are easily going to manage some of the SEO recommendations we have, like adding schema markups. In Squarespace, you can't manage those with a drop down field the way you can in
Okay.
WordPress. So it's just going to be easier for your team over time to manage SEO and to manage some other, technical aspects in WordPress.
Okay.
Squarespace is not a bad platform depending on the user, but when we want to focus on organic optimization, there are it offers more limited capabilities essentially.
Got it. Okay. Yeah,
Our
that's really helpful.
go-to, our go-to SEO plugin, Rank Math, especially Rank Math Pro, the paid version, is amazing. And you can be an intern or you can be a CEO and know nothing or everything about SEO, and it's going to help you out so much.
Okay. That sounds perfect. Right up our alley.
Awesome. The first area we look at is Google Search Console, because this is our only direct line of communication with Google to understand how they are, if they have any issues accessing the site, if they're crawling, if there are any alerts that they're sending, and if we find such, we need to act ASAP. So essentially, we saw that there are 14 pages that Google cannot properly index.
Okay.
As you can see on the right hand side, we are in the process of reviewing those in detail
Okay.
to see why this is happening. And on the next slide, you can see a little bit more information about each one of those indexation issues, or just Google alerts
Okay.
in Search Console. So we'll keep you posted on that. And then in the meantime, we also added the sitemap to Google
Yep.
Search Console. It was not previously, it wasn't submitted, but it's very important that Search Console has the sitemap link. And
Got it.
if for some reason that link changes, we need to go in here and update it.
Got it.
It's like Google's search crawl bots can giving them the sitemap is like turning on the navigation for a
Mm,
driver who
got
doesn't
it.
quite know where they're going or they're driving in the dark.
Okay.
They'll probably get there at some point somehow, even without the navigation, but it's going to be so much faster when you turn
Got it.
on the
Okay.
navigation.
That makes sense.
Speaking of the sitemap, this is a screenshot of the error I previously mentioned, that
Okay.
sometimes when we were opening up the sitemap, it was looking junky. Other times it wasn't, we weren't able to access it at all. So
Mm,
this is what it looked like on
okay.
multiple occasions. And you don't need to be an SEO specialist to see that this doesn't look right.
Right. Totally. Yeah. I mean, I've never seen one of these before, but it looks really overwhelming. So
Yeah,
I can imagine
it
it's
does. It
probably
does.
not what it's supposed to look like.
Nope. No, it's organized neatly, generally speaking. As I said, there's nothing we can do about it as of right now, given the current context. But the WordPress migration will help with that.
Yeah. And just
Yep.
checking for understanding. So if this, if the sitemap looks like this, does that mean that for a search engine like Google, the search engine's processing it in a more confusing, convoluted way? Like it's harder for the search engine to understand, what's on the website and where to find things. I'm just curious if those two things connect, if I'm understanding that.
Yeah, yeah, you're understanding it correctly. The When there are issues with the sitemap, um, it may be more difficult for the search engine
Got it.
to access different areas, especially say when you add new pages, you're producing,
Mm,
consistent publishing consistent content on the website, and that content needs to be crawled, indexed, and ranked
mm,
by the search engines. And if we're having sitemap issues, that is going to get delayed,
got it.
or it may not happen at all. There are multiple different factors that play into it, but it
Yeah.
is an issue. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, that's concerning, especially since we're trying to post more of our parent tips for families on the blogs. So,
Mhm.
if those aren't accessible, we want to move in a different direction. So I'm glad we're looking at this.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. Um, Another thing that is very important to consider is how many pages do you have part of your sitemap? In our
Okay.
instance, there are 92 that are discovered in the sitemap, and how many pages is Google indexing from
Mhm.
your root domain? At the top, you can see there are 52 pages that
Mm,
were getting indexed. So essentially, this is a 40-page discrepancy between what Google is seeing and what we want Google to see. There are a couple of different reasons why this may be happening. One of them is internal linking or poor internal linking.
mm,
Essentially, we saw that there are pages that are orphan pages that don't have connections to other
mm.
pages on your
Got it.
website. So this makes it more difficult for any search engine, Google and other search engines, to discover them.
Okay.
Um, and as a next step, we'll work with you on improving the internal linking to those orphan pages.
Okay.
And also probably take a closer look as we get closer to the uh, migration, whether or not all of the pages in the sitemap make sense to be individual pages, or if some of the content can be merged together.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Cool.
Mobile speed on a website is also an important piece of the SEO puzzle, because the easier and smoother the user experience is on your website, especially for on mobile devices, the easier and smoother the experience is also for the crawler bots of the search engine.
Got it.
So right now, your speed is 60 out of 100 according to Google's speed test, which is actually pretty good.
Okay.
Honestly, it's pretty good, but there's it's something that we need to keep in mind in the
Yeah.
months to come as we work towards moving the website to WordPress and seeing how we can optimize other areas technically to ensure a smooth experience on mobile.
Got it. Okay. That makes sense.
Cool. Now we're going to move more into the page content and how it is organized hierarchically, how the content is organized with header tags.
Okay.
Um, when reviewing, we noticed that there's some missing headers, on
Okay.
missing duplicate headers across many pages. And as part of one of our first deliverables, we'll ensure that all of your pages have at least one
Okay.
H1 tag that is unique, multiple H2 tags that are also properly optimized with the keywords we want to optimize your pages for. And we'll just provide all of that information to you and the team and help you implement it.
Okay. Cool.
And here I just included a couple of different examples of what you can expect to see in the next couple of weeks. This is the homepage, the screenshot from the homepage where the heading is quite long, and then there we have those different sections like buttons
Yeah.
underneath that hold um, keywords that are important to you as an organization, and um, they signal what visitors can expect, the information they can expect from the website. But there's no the explanatory information is not enough. So
Mm,
we think it would be good to include more content around
okay.
them to give context, and we can help you craft that content so overall it's smoother, cleaner, faster.
Mm,
What a visitor to the website can expect and how they can get in touch with you, how they can
yeah.
access program calendar, what they can find on there, and so on.
Okay.
Similar, a couple of ideas of how to restructure and put some headers on the About Us page. Same for the parents' tips, which is your blog, so to
Yep.
say, that doesn't have a header. And we can add a header to it, which will be great. Um, then moving on to title tags, they also need optimization. We'll take care of that. We'll do page mapping to all the top pages on your
Okay.
website, metadata, headers, all of that.
Got it.
As I said, meta titles and descriptions. The meta descriptions are not that important for the keyword ranking per se
Okay.
in search engine results, but they play a role in the click through rate between the search engine result page and your website. So that's why we still care for them, even if they're not necessarily a ranking factor
Yep.
for organic. This is a quick example of how we recommend we structure the title and description. We want to make sure that the meta title contains the primary keyword, a value proposition, and your brand. Um, a couple other things. We want to make sure that the hreflang tag, which is essentially a small bit of code that tells search engines which language and region
Mhm.
you're catering to. We want to make sure that is set to English and US because that's
Yep.
your primary region and your language. It's just a good practice and it's a
Okay.
must for especially for multilingual websites.
Okay.
Um, I already mentioned structured data in the beginning. It's you probably haven't heard of it before, but that's
No.
one of the amazing things we can automatically create very easily with Rank Math plugin in WordPress,
Okay.
where we use code to summarize the contents and provide extra context for the content on your page to give to the search engines.
Got
Um,
it.
so this is very good. Like we can add structured data to say that you're an NGO,
Yep.
and there's no easy way to do that in Squarespace without a developer, basically. Content tags is something else that we are going to review later in more detail in our content strategy. Right now, they are indexed, which is good, um, but we'll want to reduce the number of content tags because there are too many of them right now for the amount of
Okay.
content you have on the website.
Got it.
and possibly consider changing the URL of the blog. As we
Okay.
said, the blog's name right now is Parents Tips, but the
Yeah.
URL is News, so it's just a little bit confusing. Um, so some suggestions we have are either just going with blog or tips or parents tips in the URL structure.
Okay. That makes sense.
Um, Final elements, top navigation structure. As you can see, there are a lot of things in the top navigation, which can be overwhelming, especially on mobile for
Yeah.
mobile users. So we want to narrow down the number of categories, and we can move some of the options like careers or subscribe or the store to the footer navigation, and
Okay.
we can merge some of the categories. Also, the shopping area of the shopping, the store
Yeah.
basically is on a different domain. I think this may not be an immediate fix because we discussed why
Yep.
that's the case. But generally speaking, it's good for your website experience and authority to have the shopping functionality be on the same root domain.
Okay.
Um, ADA stands for American Disabilities Act,
Yeah.
and it's very important to ensure any website
Yeah.
is accessible for people with disabilities, and any software that they might be using.
Yeah.
Right now, the Pickles Group website ranks as 76 out of 100, which means that there's still a good space for improvement,
Okay.
like background, foreground colors that don't have enough contrast ratio. And we'll work more on this as we get
Okay.
closer to the migration. There's
Okay.
some examples, and that wraps it up really
Okay.
with the technical stuff.
Awesome.
Do you have any questions?
I think, generally speaking, this is really helpful. These are just competencies and ways of looking at the website that we don't necessarily have any background in-house. So this has been really helpful for us as a starting point. What would you say, just in terms of priority? What would you say as you're looking at, this list of things like, what do you think we need to be thinking about first, or what do you think is going to make the biggest difference for us the fastest? Any different way you kind of prioritize?
Yeah, so the first priority would definitely be um, addressing any alerts that we see
Okay.
in Google Search Console and resolving those.
Got it.
Parallel to that, our team is working on um, this extended list of keyword research that is going to inform the metadata
Okay.
mapping. And as we dive deeper into that, we'll have better understanding of the contents on those different
Yeah.
pages, which in turn is very important for making recommendations on whether some pages should merge with other pages to create
Right.
one longer piece of content around a specific topic that's going to
Okay.
make it easier to rank. So, Google Search Console errors, the keyword research, and
Mhm.
metadata mapping, there are no glaring technical issues that are cause for alert.
Okay.
The orphan pages, this 40-page discrepancy
Right.
is not ideal. So
Okay.
that is also going to be part of, the metadata mapping that we're going to do. We'll have clear understanding of what
Yeah.
those pages are about and how to tackle that along the way. And as I said with the opener slides, all of this is going to prepare us to switch the CMS,
Right.
to go from Squarespace to WordPress,
Yeah.
which is going to be, I think, a game changer, because at that point we'll end up implementing some of those other
Yeah.
bigger recommendations, like the top navigation, the top navigation changes. We'll probably see some changes in the speed as well. We'll see changes to the sitemap, the robots.txt file. So a lot of those will
Yeah.
get chunked up together. But before we get to the migration, we'll ensure that the content on
Okay.
the pages, both what you see as a user when you read it, the
Right.
headers, copy, and what bots see on the back end, the technical stuff, the
Right.
HTML, is sound, and it's
Okay.
optimized.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. And then how long with kind of this goal to improve organic visibility, our organic visibility, how long does it take before we'll kind of start to see some movement? Like how quickly can we see search results kind of changing, like visibility with parents improving?
Mhm.
What's that look like?
It's hard to give like a specific answer and give a
Right.
super concrete timeline.
Yep.
Results accumulate over time,
Right.
is it is the answer in general.
Yep.
um, Organic growth tends to look like a hockey stick
Okay.
when you see it in graphically. It
Yep.
accumulates over time. So it depends how quickly we're able to implement the
Yep.
recommendations. From experience, after we've implemented the results from the recommendations from the on-page mapping, we
Hmm.
tend to immediately see some improvement. But then in order to see more improvement, we also need to work on in the content area. We need to look at the connections and like backlinks, and keep improving the technical. So SEO is like a puzzle. There's no silver bullet for it
Right.
to cracking it. And we need
Yep.
to make sure that all of those areas, we're making progress in all of those areas. And then change and progress is going to accumulate over time and
Yep.
really uh, drive impact.
Okay. Awesome. Well,
One
I'm excited. This is great.
Yeah, it's really exciting because it's, not every day that we get to do this, um, to have so much impact for a mission driven organization, um,
Awesome.
and one with such a beautiful cause like yours. So we're very excited to work with you on this.
Definitely. And it's for us to be able to get this sort of support from you with your expertise. It's probably something that we would not be able to kind of build up to for a few years, really, as a startup organization and a growing young organization who's really focused on putting our time and resources into the kids and families we serve. So just really glad that we have this opportunity and excited to see the impact that it helps us make.
Thank you, Cassie, and thank you to everyone who joined us for today's episode of Ranking in Public. I hope this was useful. This was just one of the 4 sections of an SEO audit that we do at Growth Skills. And stay in touch. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Take care.